Yanis was making Russian bread for you here in his barbecue.
Russian bread?
Yeah, he was making some kind of bread.
Barbecue?
That's what.
Папа, я пойду предлагать, поэтому скажи ему, я сейчас. Папа, сейчас он даст.
Янис, потом, не надо сейчас.
Я сейчас предлагаю.
Ага. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Subhad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Shloka Saraswati Isi Jai Samaveta Bhaktananda Ki Jai Gaur Premanand Krishna Praishtaya Bhutale Namaste. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyanatimirandhasya Gyanam Janashalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Shreshtham Manamapi Shakti Putramatra Swarupam Rupam Tasya Gajamurupurim Madhurim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhava Sham Prapta Yasya Pratita Kripeya Shri Gurum Tamritasmi Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ataf Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadvitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagana Sabdrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamavanayanam Yogi Vidhyanagam Vande Vishnam Bhavavayaharam Sarvalokarikanatha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vishnu Sahasranam, name 115, is Rudra. I spoke on this name this morning, partially. It's always partial, it's never complete. The generally understood meaning, one who cries or makes others cry. There are other meanings also. This is, of course, a well-known name of Lord Shiva. There are several names of Lord Shiva, which are names which are generally better known as his names than those of Vishnu in Vishnu Sahasranam, including the name Shiva. So Rudra is also a very common name of Shiva. The name is the same, but the function is somewhat different. That many names of Shiva are also names of Vishnu underscores their similarity. There are several statements in Shastra that one should not see Shiva and Vishnu as being different. But there's difference also. Difference and non-difference. So Rudra, Shiva, makes others cry, but not in the same way that Krishna does. Another meaning here is given, one who confers good on the devotees, which parallels another very common name. The most common name of Shiva is Shiva. Mahadeva is very common. Rudra is very common. Another very common name is Shankar, Shiv Shankar. So Shankar means one who makes good, one who makes auspiciousness. So that's very similar to this second meaning given here for Rudra, one who confers good, especially on the devotees. So Shiva, when we say Shiva here, referring to Shiva, Shankara, Mahadev, Rudra, it's also all names of Vishnu. We can also say Panchamukha, that's specifically associated with Shiva. Trinetra, that name is specifically associated. We don't, of course, Vishnu has 5 heads, 5 million heads, unlimited heads. He has 3 eyes, 7 eyes, 9 eyes, 1 million eyes. All the eyes are his. So, what is that? Sarvata, Panipadam Tat Sarvatokshi Shiro Mukham. His eyes, his legs, his hands, his eyes, his heads are everywhere. So, but generally Trinetra or Panchamukh, these names are specifically for Shiva. So he also does good, Shankara. Everything he does is for the good, although in a way that appears to be not very auspicious. Therefore, Vishnu appears also as Shiva, because the way Shiva does good to the world doesn't appear to be very good. The destroyer, particularly he's known as the destroyer. But actually it's good, because everything Krishna does is good. But it's in a roundabout way. It's just like this material world is all minus. So if you destroy it, that's minus times minus equals plus. All for the good, but in a somewhat roundabout way. Lord Shiva also does good for the devotees, especially at Varanasi. Anyone who leaves the world in that place, yeah, he comes and says in their ear, Rama. In this way he does good. He does good by leading them to Vishnu. Ultimately, Shiva is to be known as a devotee of Vishnu. Mostly people who call himself their devotee, his devotees, they don't accept this or realize this, and they make the mistake of thinking that he is the ultimate himself. But Vishnu does good for his devotees by giving himself directly. And for others, he gives them Shiva. For others, he does good for them. Everything he does is for the good. And especially, he said, he who confers good on the devotees. Actually, he wants good for everyone. Suhridam sarva bhutanam. He's the best friend of everyone. But especially for the devotees, because they're ready to accept what he gives them. What does he give them? He gives them himself. Atma prajanto prasad. He gives his mercy to them up to the extent of giving himself to his devotees. But non-devotees don't want that. They want to enjoy separately from him. So he confers good on them in a way in which they don't think is good. And therefore people say, well, I don't believe in God. I used to believe in God until my daughter died. And then I understood there's no God. Because if there's good, he would have kept my daughter alive. What? She didn't do any harm. What? So why should she die? That means there's no God. Because if there's God, his job is to scratch my back. Or more importantly, give me lots of money. Woody Allen, I said, if I would believe in God, I just need a sign, like putting $1 million in my bank account. That was his joke funny joke. So people, their whole outlook is so perverse that they think that the function of God is to fulfill my sense gratification. But they don't realize that the function of the jiva is to fulfill Krishna's desire for sense gratification, which is not perverse as is ours. So one who gives good in all respects. Krishna is always looking for the good of the how can I benefit them? Krishna lives for his devotees. So this meaning of Rudra is very different from one who makes others cry. Of course, Krishna makes others cry by bliss. That's but the Rudra as the destroyer of the destroyer of all our hopes. But no, Krishna is just the opposite. He doesn't destroy the hopes, he fulfills the hopes of his devotees. Just like we've heard in the spiritual world, there are wish-fulfilling trees. So we think, well, I'll go there and then I can fulfill all my sense gratification. But those who go there, their only desire is to please Krishna. So whatever is required for pleasing Krishna, the tree will give. And we don't go to the spiritual world if we have any desire to exploit the facilities for our own sense gratification. So, Krishna, everything he's just thinking, especially we are in this material world, so Vishnu in this world acts particularly to help the devotees to come to him, his various avatars. Krishna is exceptional, and Krishna is the original form of the personality of Godhead. There are so many avatars, Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, Kurma. So they all come to the world, and the main thing they do is Paritranaya Sadhunam. They act for the uplift of the devotees. Krishna is the original form of the personality of Godhead, and everything he does is for the benefit of his devotees, but somewhat differently, because he enjoys his own pastimes. That's also for the good of his devotees, but those who are already fully liberated, or almost there, they join with Krishna's pastimes. But many of the pastimes, they don't have a cosmic function as the other forms of the Supreme Lord do. Just like he supports the Mandara mountain on his back as Kurmadev for the benefit of the universe, or he lifts up the world as Varaha. But Krishna, just for instance, Krishna steals butter. What is the cosmic function? It's not a cosmic function. It's just for his own pleasure. That's all. And it gives great pleasure to his devotees also. This morning, just to give a perverted reflection or a reflection of how the devotees are happy by Krishna stealing from them, as we were driving round and round in circles trying to find LAX. Took us an hour to get there. So there was a bottle of water in the car there, and I said to the driver, I'm going to steal this bottle of water. And he said, actually it's meant for you. And then I said, well, then there's no rasa in it. It would have been more fun to have taken your bottle. If it's meant for me, okay, then I can drink it. But if it's meant for him and I take it, then I say I'm stealing it from you. Then there's some more rasa in that, so in the exchange. So I got a little thought of that how the Krishna steals from his devotees, and there's a very happy exchange. But there's no cosmic function. Just for his own happiness and for those of his immediate devotees. It's not maintaining. That we see the Dashavata Stotram. how Keshava Dhrita, and then all the different forms. Kurma Sharira, Keshava Dhrita, Narahari Rupa, and they all have cosmic function, but Jai Jagadisha, Keshava. This comes, and then after describing the 10 prominent forms of Vishnu, then Gita Govinda, which is this Krishna with the gopis and especially with Radharani. So Krishna acts for his own pleasure. That's ultimately for the pleasure of, or for the uplift of the whole world, but only by appreciating Krishna. Ananda, what is that? Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. What is that? Ananda Chinmaya, the other one. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, not Pratibhavita. Manas, what is that verse? The other one? It begins like that. My brain's pretty dull. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Manasa. What is that? Yeah. My brain suffering from brain death. Yeah, I can blame it on the jet lag. Ananda Chinmaya Manasa. Let's see if I can find it here. It's actually a very important verse. We don't quote it much. Where's Brahma Samhita? Somewhere in here. How am I going to find it? I don't look it up in here much. Oh, here it is. Divaya Karnana Ananda Chinmaya. This type is so slow. Ah, here it is. Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Mataya Manasu Yah Praninam Pratipalam Smaritam Apetya Ilayatena Bhuvanani Jayatya Jasram Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna dominates these worlds by his blissful pastimes. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Mataya Manasu Yah Praninam Pratipalam Smaratamapa. By remembering that, by remembering the pastimes of Krishna, the devotees they aspire to remember that. So Krishna's, he does good for the world just by being himself. We've heard this saying, be yourself. So be yourself means to surrender to Krishna. And Krishna, his being himself, means to dominate everything by his extraordinary blissful pastime. He doesn't act as a good man all the time during his pastime. He doesn't set a standard of what it should be to be a good person by worldly understanding. But for the pleasure of his devotees, he will, and for uplifting his devotees, he will tell them, now you tell a lie. Now you kill Karna. But I can't in this situation. Do it anyway. You're not supposed to do it anyway. So everything for the good of his devotees. Krishna, his main interest, good of his devotees. Even he may get a bad name. That doesn't matter so much to him. Let the demons go to hell for criticizing him. But his devotees should be benefited. So his pastimes, by remembering them, all blissful pastimes. His main aim is not to set a good example for dharma. That's done by Rama. But in this, as Krishna, just enjoying himself. And what you think, that's up to you. You can think whatever you like. If you're a devotee, you'll appreciate. If you're not a devotee, you'll go to hell. But he's being himself. He's the supreme enjoyer. He's not constricted by what anyone thinks. He's not to be judged by anyone else. So he does good for the world by exhibiting, yes, this is God. Whatever he wants for his pleasure. There's a story in this regard that one Muslim ruler from Iran, must have been the Shah of Iran, came to visit. I think who told the story got a bit mixed up. Should have been to France. And they showed him, in the course of showing the glories of France, they showed the guillotine. It's a French invention, very efficient method of, little messy but efficient. So they showed him the guillotine. He said, "Oh, that's very interesting. Show me how it works." He said, "Well, we don't have anyone to guillotine at the moment. We stopped using that." He said, "No, show me how it works." He said, "Well, we can't do that. There has to be someone. It's not the post-revolution days. Someone has to be sentenced to death. We don't have anyone just now." He said, "Well, can't you just put someone?" No, we have laws." He said, "Well, I'll give one of my men. I want to see." "No, we can't do that either." And the Shah said, "You don't know what a king is. If I want, you should just do it. That's all. There's no consideration whether it's the law or not the law." Nowadays, even in England, the Queen has to pay taxes. Seems a strange thing. If you're going to have a king or a queen, then why do they pay tax? They're supposed to collect the taxes. But now they have to pay tax also. They became more like citizens. But Krishna, he's absolutely independent. That's another quality of his. But yeah, so I won't go into too much into that. But it should be understood, everything he does is for the good of his devotees. That should be understood. God is good. Whatever he does, we should accept. And even, we may think, well, I'm a devotee, then why am I getting sick? Or well, I'm a devotee, why so many difficulties? But we should understand, we've come to the protection of Krishna. Krishna is protecting us. Even if we don't see how that is, later if we remain faithful to Krishna, later we'll see how everything Krishna did, although at the time we couldn't understand it, that is for our benefit. So it may not be possible for us to understand because we have so many misconceptions and material attachments, and we have our own conception of what good should be, what is best for me. But surrender to Krishna means to accept that what circumstances he ordains, that is right, that is good. That doesn't mean that everything in the world is good. That's a misunderstanding of this principle. It may be that he puts us in a difficult situation. We accept in one sense, but it may be a challenge for us to fight for Krishna to alter that situation also, just like Arjuna. Krishna is nonsense. This so-called Gita Sa they have in Hindi. Jo bhi hua tha wo bhi acha tha. Jo ho raha hai wo bhi acha hai. Or jo bhi hoga wo bhi acha hoga. It's complete nonsense. Whatever happens, so it's quite common in India, you'll see it's written up. The essence of the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever happened is for the good. Whatever's going on is for the good. Whatever will happen in the future is good. Then why did Krishna have Arjuna fight? Then why not just, sit down and smoke a joint or something, just have fun? Everything's good. Okay, all right. Everything's good. All right, well, lie down on the chariot, put your feet up. Everything's good. Life is good. But no, the situation is there. We should understand we're put in this situation by Krishna, but that doesn't mean that we just become completely neutral. Krishna put us in a situation. How do we respond to that situation to serve Krishna best? Not that because Krishna has ordained this situation, therefore, okay, all right. We accept that Krishna has given this situation. How do we respond to that? That we have to see also. So, getting a little sidetracked here, we're supposed to be discussing one who does good for his devotees. Another meaning of the name Rudra is one who destroys misery. And in the another elaboration of this, he cures the disease of material existence afflicting the conditioned souls. So one who destroys misery. Rudra, generally Shiva is known as the destroyer. Krishna also destroys, but he destroys the miseries of his devotees. Bhava Bhaya Haram, that name is just said. Who was chanting that with me? I was chanting Shantakaram. Someone was chanting that? You're chanting that. Yeah. Both of you. I see. Yeah, these things, these shlokas used to be well known. Still some people know them. Where are you from? From Orissa. Where in Orissa? Kalahandi. Okay. That's in the hill area. Is that? Kalapahandi? Handi, just Handi. Yeah. So, one who destroys misery, yeah. Again, we may have to have faith because it's Krishna can make us cry, Rudra, one who makes you. But ultimately, that will destroy misery. We have to have faith because we may to destroy our material misery. That ultimately means to destroy our material attachments and become attached to Him. But we have the misconception that by material happiness, that is my ultimate interest. So we may have to go through some misery to attain Krishna. Why misery? Because not that Krishna is really giving us misery, but because of our material attachments. As Krishna says, Yasyaham anugrahnami Harishe tadhanang shanai. Those who I favor, I take away all their money. So you may say, well, that doesn't sound very good. Let's go and preach that. Okay, folks, chant Hare Krishna and lose all your money. Who will come? Shanai, gradually. So you're holding on and it's going away and going away, hoping and hoping, and then ultimately, Krishna, I've no hope but you. And those who are not real devotees, they'll say, Krishna took away all my money. Ugh, I'm going to Sai Baba. Better. Of course, he was very rich too. Got huge amounts of money. You don't hear about it. We heard it came out in the newspapers, there's huge amounts of money, and then quiet. Just like in Tiruvananthapuram. Huge amounts of money, there was discussion, now quiet. That means it's all being looted. That's all. Huge amounts. So Krishna takes her, because we think, this is my money, I will enjoy with this. And Krishna thinks, you're not meant for enjoyment. You're someone who wants to be a devotee, you're meant for serving me. So if you have some attachment, then Krishna takes it away. And those who are attached to Krishna, then they'll become fully attached to Krishna. It may seem miserable. We may have to go through so many miseries. It may seem like that, but then ultimately, we get Krishna. And then when we get Krishna, we realize, oh, Krishna was so merciful. He took away everything. He gave me the realization that there's nothing in this world, whatever I conceive of as being enjoyable, Krishna just destroys all that. In Vedic culture, a major factor for spiritual advancement is tapasya, voluntary austerity, for the sake of spiritual advancement. and those who, well, that's undertaken so to become detached from everything in this world, from the prospect of enjoying this world. And for those who want to be Krishna conscious but don't do that, well, Krishna arranges it anyway. We can't attain Krishna without giving up all material attachments. It has to be done ultimately. We may not say it in the beginning, but we have to say it fairly soon. Because in the beginning we say, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, be happy. But fairly soon we have to tell people, this material world is miserable, we have to surrender to Krishna. Otherwise, if we don't get beyond telling people chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam, then they don't go beyond that. Then we have to know that if we're to attain Krishna, then we have to give up material attachments, we have to overcome material contaminations. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mad Adi, Abhishta, Eshab na Chere, Kishe Pabe Radha Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur poses the rhetorical question that as long as we are absorbed in these lower tendencies of lust, greed, anger, illusion, envy, etc., then how will we attain to Radha and Krishna? It's not possible. So those who have some sincerity to attain Krishna, Krishna himself will destroy the misery. How does the misery arise? From attachment to this material world. So it's painful, can be painful. Therefore, we also have to hear, it's painful when everything all hopes that I had for enjoying, everything I considered, my house, well, ultimately we have to leave it all. My house, my family, my dog, my cat, everything. My body. We can't have these things. Therefore it's important to hear these things. We may say, well, we don't like to hear how this world is miserable. Let's talk about the positive things, how Krishna is beautiful. All right, we talk about the positive things, but if we are not aware of, we don't cultivate the sense of becoming free from attachment to this material world, then our spiritual advancement won't go very nicely. And even we hear about the beauty of Krishna, we'll think, well, that's something else for me to enjoy. So we have to hear this also. Then we can make rapid advancement, because as long as we're thinking of enjoying this material world, we can't advance in Krishna consciousness. So it's not just all nice. Actually, it's all nice, but because we're not all nice, we have other plans for enjoying separately from Krishna. So we have to, some operation is required. The operation is painful. Even if you give some anesthetic, it wears off. And there's some things you can take painkillers, but there's no painkiller powerful enough to overcome certain kinds of pain. The pain is so much. Or you can give so much painkiller that the person just becomes, they can't think clearly. So they're so drugged up that their mental functions don't work properly. So reality is that Krishna is very beautiful, very kind, very sweet, and this material world is horrible, nasty. We have to understand both sides. So, should I speak a little more? I have to run back. Working day tomorrow. Okay. Bahusira means many heads. Hydra-headed snake is Anantadeva. has many heads. And also that Sarvata Parnipadam Tat Sarvatokshi Shiraha, his head. Shiro Mukham, his heads and mouths, has many. Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita. So Bahusira means many heads, has many heads. So he himself takes the form of Ananta, and with every mouth, just like we're discussing Vishnu Sahasranam, the various qualities and forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so he does also. And he goes on with his many heads, discussing about his own qualities and forms, and never comes to an end of that. So we can understand that it's quite an endeavor to speak on 1,000 names of Vishnu. It's probably at the present rate it'll take that I'm going through. If Krishna allows, I may finish after a few years. Finish means there's no finishing, but I may have discussed all the 920 names or so in Vishnu Sahasranama. But he himself is so enlivened by the prospect of himself. What else is there to be enlivened by? Himself, his devotees, devotional service. That he takes this form, and the same form acts as which will be in the next name that will come up. The rest, he performs the bed. So he's the bed of Vishnu, and with he takes that form and is also praising Vishnu. So he's lying down nicely and listening to his qualities. So, I mean, people, they want in material enjoyment, they can't even imagine what is enjoyment. That you can lie down very comfortably and be praised, and with so many mouths. And of course Vishnu, he's hearing what everyone says all the time, millions and billions and trillions of living beings in millions and trillions of universes. So he doesn't get confused by so many heads all speaking at the same time. He can process it all. So he's nicely listening. Ah, yes, very nice. Egoism, yes. Yes. For Vishnu, that is very suitable. He should listen to his own glories. Kings also do. They're woken up and they go to sleep, and they're woken up with the recital of their glories, but that's to encourage them to continue their function of acting as the representative of Vishnu, as the maintainer and protector of the people. So, yeah, the king may be praised, that's also suitable in Vedic culture, but Krishna, but he's praised so to enthuse him in his role of service to Vishnu. But Vishnu is praised just for being Vishnu, that's all. If you praise anyone else for just being who they are, it's this, I think in America more than anywhere else, they have this celebrity consciousness. What were you thinking of?
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem.
You want to give your children self-esteem, so you say, that doesn't matter that you don't know math and you don't know English.
That's nonsense.
We love you.
You should give them self-esteem by teaching them all these things. Then they can have self-esteem. You're a complete bum, but we love you anyway. Well, what's the use of loving me? Teach me. It should be. So, it's a very stupid idea. I was going to say this celebrity consciousness. I was just looking at USA Today on the plane yesterday. Now it's USA Yesterday, and the whole paper is just full of film stars and sports stars. There's no news. It's just what they what they have for breakfast and things like this. You're just useless people, completely useless, and somehow they've captured the public attention. I mean, really, extremely useless people, not just ordinarily useless. No, nothing. What is it? They're somewhat good looking, and they act in a film, some stupid film. All the films are just nonsense. And people, Vishnu, he's actually worth praising. You couldn't even begin to do a Vishnu Sahasranam or a Sahasranama for these film stars. There's nothing. What is there to say about them? The whole country's running on just some imagination, just in dreamland. Movies, sports, and intoxication, TV, just nonsense. But Vishnu is reality. So he should be praised. In Purusha Sukta also is praised. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. So he has, he's described as having 1,000 heads. Although the 1,000, it's indicative. He has ananta, unlimited numbers of heads. I can't see this, I made some notes. Oh yeah, he has many heads. Another understanding of this is he has human head, we are saying from our perspective, horse head, fish head, tortoise head, boar head, yeah, lion, yeah, so many. So many heads. Many heads means many. Sahasraksha, Sahasrapad, yes. Many eyes. Yeah, it said many heads, but it also says many eyes, many feet, many arms. Not some small person. The Western or the idea of God is the only thing he does practically is put a few people in heaven and everyone else in hell, and that's all he does. They don't know anything about him. That they have this misunderstanding that his only function is to put the believers in heaven. They have to belong to the right church. And everyone else is in hell. Or some are in limbo. They used to have limbo, but that's been retired. The Catholic Church invented limbo, so for some time, because everything the Pope says is infallible, so many people went to limbo. Now they decided there's no limbo, so now it doesn't exist anymore, because what the Pope says is infallible. When he said it existed, it existed. Now it doesn't. I know whatever happened to those people in limbo, they just... What happens to them then? And so much lack of any intelligence. And I mean, they study in a seminary for like 7 years to become a priest. They don't know anything about God because there's no information, nothing, just all speculation. That's why I wonder about this interfaith. What are you going to discuss with such ignorant people? I mean, there should be some. If you're going to discuss, there should be. It's just like professors, they don't discuss with children. So actually this knowledge that we have from Shastra, the nature of Bhagavan, they have no idea. I saw this some of our devotees, they organized a meeting with Christian scholars, big people from Oxford and Cambridge University and all this. And the discussion was, what is the nature of the soul? And the Christians, they all said, well, we don't know. That's all they had to say. They had nothing to say. After 2,000 years, we don't know.
They borrowed a lot from Greeks throughout history. A lot of...
Well, they didn't have any philosophy, so they imported it from Greece, but that didn't really fit with the Bible, so it's just a complete, what shall I say? It's useless. It's just I mean, you could say that somewhere in there's some nice attempt, but there's no Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, and therefore so misleading. So, we should get together all our heads and praise Vishnu. He's showing the example. I don't want this. I mean, we may not say, if we meet Christians, we may not say like this directly to them. We don't want to unnecessarily insult them. But it's a fact. They have no knowledge. As Srila Prabhupada often said, it's not enough to say that God is great, we should know how He is great. So this discussion of Vishnu Sahasranam is to get some insights on how He is great. Hare Krishna. That's all I'm saying for now, unless there are any questions, as Prabhupada used to say. He used to pronounce it, questions.
You made a point that when Krishna puts in a situation, we should try to, Krishna says how we should react to it, but sometimes people say that, okay, I mean, if you're in a situation, you should accept as it is and not...
Situation what, sorry?
Like if you're in a difficult situation?
We're in a difficult situation. Well, we should always hear from Shastra and understand that we're always in a difficult situation. We think now the situation is difficult, but actually we're always in a difficult situation in this material world. And if we don't think we're in a difficult situation, then we're really in a difficult situation.
That's a good one.
If we think that it's okay, then that's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is Krishna's pointing out in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Mrityu Jaravyadhi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. One should always see the miseries of birth, death, old age and disease. But the big that is a symptom of knowledge. Etaj jnanam iti proktam. This is knowledge. But to not see that is the problem. At least if we can see that, the problems of birth, death, old age and disease, then we can start to get free. But if we don't see that we're always in a difficult situation, then we're really in trouble. So sometimes, the temperature goes up, the fever goes up, or we find, now I'm in a very difficult situation. But we should understand that even if everything apparently seems nice, it's not. That's why we always have to hear from Shastra. And apparently nice, it means it won't remain nice. So-called nice, it doesn't remain. It must. Whatever we're doing, in whatever we do in our life, there must be death, there must be old age, there must be disease, and then rebirth. So, King Sukham Martya Dhaminam. Where is the happiness in the world of death? This question should be considered. So difficult situation, yes, certainly some situations we find to be more difficult than others. But whatever the difficult situation, just like you have a difficult situation, now someone slammed into my car and drove off quickly before I could get their number. And now all of a sudden my car is totaled and I have to buy a new one and I can't, it's a real difficult situation. But whatever the difficult situation is, in comparison with death, it's insignificant. Your car's totaled, well, you're still alive. Okay, it's a bad situation, so okay, let's reverse the clock. And you can choose. Either someone smashes into your car or they kill you. Which you're going to choose? Death, the overwhelming fact of death, which we always forget. And we think, oh, this is a big problem, that's a big problem. We've got much more serious problems. But some things, because we have this illusion that we're going to live forever and we can live happily in this world, Therefore we think that some things are very major problems. But the real problem is that we have birth, death, old age and disease over and over again. And the real problem is that whatever difficult situation we're in, it's only one, and we're going to face them over and over and over again. So that's why we should hear all these things regularly and understand. We think, now I'm in a difficult situation. That means that I'm thinking how to come out of it and enjoy sense gratification. That is the cause of all our material life. So the idea, I'll pray to God and He'll get me out of the difficult situation, then I can go on happily in this world. That is the disease. So what was your question? See, many times people ask questions, but it's all, and I interrupt, which is not considered good etiquette. But the thing is that the very premise of the question is based on such a misconception that has to be addressed before you can even... To address the question on the basis of the misconception reinforces the misconception. There's something like that in law also. People make some statement and it's based on a false premise, right? And you have to catch them. I guess you're expert in that.
Yeah, there's an objection that assumes facts not in evidence, or lacks foundation. These are objections you make when if someone asks a question.
And many times their attitude is right in the question, or they've assumed by the question that you're already, just like the famous one, have you stopped beating your wife yet? If he says yes or no, he's still guilty. So it just assumes guilt. So, yeah, what was your question?
The question was that you were telling in the lecture that sometimes Krishna puts in a materially difficult situation and then he sees how we react to that.
I said that. Now I'm on the trial. Yeah, then...
I wanted to know, should we react to that situation or we should accept the situation as it is?
Should we react to it or should we accept it? Well, if we just accept it and don't do anything, that's one way of reacting, isn't it? Well, maybe not react, but we nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit. We can't not act. So even not acting is a kind of action because we've decided to not act. So it's a decision that's made. We have to see each situation individually. At each point we have to see, how does Krishna want me to act? What should I do now? What's favorable for my advancement in devotional service? And in family life, when you're earning money, there's also the material consideration, which is why you're reading Prabhupada's books, right? And you're thinking seriously about this. Panchas ardhvang vanang vrajet, Srila Prabhupada often quotes. At the age of 50, one should go to the forest. One should leave all these things. Because as long as one is in family life, there are always social considerations, which unless we're very advanced, they tend to distract us from purely devotional considerations. So as we were just hearing at midday, in Vedic culture, 3/4 of one's life is meant purely for spiritual cultivation. So more difficulties arise as one interacts with the world for the sake of economic development and sense gratification. That's also required. Grihastha ashram is also required. But one should come out of that in due course of time. One should plan to do so. Yeah, so we'll finish there. No? Another question?
Yeah, if you have time. Just wanted to know, as you mentioned about Lord Shiva. So, the
That picture is full of speculations. I don't know why it's distributed. Like they have Nrsingadev ripping apart Hiranyakashipu in the spiritual world. There's no such thing in the spiritual world. Oh, maybe it's some other picture. There's a widely circulated one, widely circulated in ISKCON among devotees, but there's several. I mean, I looked one time and I just saw so many discrepancies. I don't know which picture you're talking about.
So he says basically the Kailash Dham, Lord Shiva's abode, is beyond Brahmajyoti and it is considered as a classification of a spiritual world. So I just wanted to...
Well, Jive Surup Hoy Krishna Nityadas, the eternal dharma or situation of the jiva is to serve Krishna, not Shiva. Sadashiva actually means Vishnu. Shiva, as is generally known, that's why he has this function, because many of the functions he performs are in relation to the material world, which is inauspicious, and Shiva means auspicious. So Vishnu is Sadashiva. He's always auspicious in all respects. So Sadashiva means Vishnu.
I'm not getting the phrase, but he said that devotees should live in accordance to whatever comes in life, something like that.
Yeah, what is that?
I'm not getting the phrase.
What is it? Santushta Labha. What is?
Santushta.
Yadrichaya.
Labha Santushta.
Labha Santushta.
Can you explain more about this, because it's very confusing?
It's confusing because we live in a culture where the idea is more. Whereas in natural society, again, three of the ashrams, one is a beggar, as we also heard today, or one lives due to the and it's fairly steady income, you could say, or not even income. In many cases, you may not even use money at all. This whole idea of money and paper, and so whatever you get, yadricha labha santushta. Yeah. So brahmachari goes begging, accept whatever comes. Brahmana begs, or different kinds of brahmanas they may accept. They just go in the field, whatever's there. Vanaprastha, he's in the forest. Whatever fruits and roots are easily available, he takes. He's not going to, doesn't even do no farming. Just whatever's there, he'll take. Grihastha, he endeavors to produce, but ultimately that's in the hand of Krishna. The whole idea of massive economic development and everyone trying to get more and more and more, that's not part of traditional society, nor is it possible to get more and more. That's a gift, if you want to call it, of modern society, to get more and more and more and more. So it's difficult to understand in modern life because the whole outlook is so different. So, anything else?
Maharaj, my sister follows Sri Sampradaya and she says chanting Hare Krishna and Vishnu Sahasranam. It's like they chant Vishnu Sahasranam.
They chant Vishnu Sahasranam in Sri Sampradaya.
Yes,
Those who follow some of the things. But you can't follow everything. They have to compromise. They can't follow everything. If they want to follow, you can't. There's no one in the Sri Sampradaya who follows as they used to follow. I don't think there's anyone, even the Jiyas and all this, they can't follow nowadays. You can't follow. So they can do. Let them chant Vishnu Sahasranam. We'll chant Hare Krishna. We're not in the business of fighting with Vaishnavas. Only within our own Sampradaya. Other Other sampradayas, let them, encourage them, that's nice. Within our own sampradaya means we have to keep it our own sampradaya and not make it, not compromise it. That's normal. Within sampradayas they fight. Sri Sampradaya also used to be completely split, but now the, Vadagalaya, Tengalaya, now they're all together, not because they overcame their differences, but just because they don't care anymore. They don't even know what the differences are now. They put their tilak differently, that's all they say. This galai, that kalai no ba in marriage and all this kind. But they don't even know what the differences are. It's not because they came to a higher level of consciousness, it's because they came to a lower level of consciousness. Isn't it? That's why they can get on with each other. Otherwise they don't even know what all the differences are. What they used to fight with so bitterly. So whatever they can do, let them do. That's nice. We can encourage that. But many are appreciating also. They're reading this one Jia, where is that? Tiru. In Deep South, near Tirunelveli, there's one. So he told one of our devotees, he said, actually your Prabhupada is right. Krishna is the supreme form. And he said, you see Ranganatha Swami, 2 hands.
Very good.
At Tirukoya, where is that? Someplace, near Tirunelveli. I can't remember the name of the place. He said that. So that he took that as the pramana. Reading Prabhupada's books and appreciating. Because they're practical for Krishna consciousness in the modern age. All the complex discussions in previous ages, who can understand? But Prabhupada just gives it very simply and clearly. Mayavad is nonsense. It's not all one. There's no need, the declension of this vowel means this, and who can understand all this? Usually that was there, that was required, but in the modern age, not required. You'll just get lost in so many discussions. So they're appreciating. Prabhupada's, even if they have to speak to their own people, they'll do better by reading Prabhupada's books, and they can, because their own people also can't understand all these things. And then they just come down to stories, and there's no philosophy, not much. If there's anyone at all speaking, Velaguri Krishna, he's speaking. Some people are getting inspired. That's nice.
But I just had a follow-up question on the question that I asked. In the Vedic times, the Kshatriyas and to some extent the Vaishyas, they had this, like Kshatriyas, they wanted to always expand. So
Kshatriyas have that spirit, yeah.
Yeah, so how...
But Kshatriya to expand, that may be there, but it's... For Kshatriya to take over another's kingdom, he would do, if it's not going on very well, that would be his duty. If there's a neighboring kingdom where the king is not ruling properly, then the ruling king, he should enter and take over the kingdom by force for the benefit of the people. Otherwise, just to expand for the sake of expansion is not a very good policy. He always has to see, a true Kshatriya has to see himself as a servant of Krishna and act accordingly.
How did devotee Kshatriyas act in the way?
How did devotee Kshatriyas act? You see the character Rama of Yudhishthira. You can see. Ambarish Maharaj, he was completely absorbed in worship. Yudhishthira, he was told by Krishna, you have to do this. Otherwise, He was more happy in the forest in many ways.
When I was driving up here, this is the first time I've been here, and I was thinking, Dimitri and his wife have already gone to the forest because there's so many trees around, such a forest road. But my question is that after 50 we're supposed to actually take Vanaprastha. I asked this to Jayadvaita Swami, who was also speaking on this point when he gave class a couple weeks ago at ISV. How does that mean for us in ISKCON in the West? How are we supposed to do it?
Damadavangshit Hariprabhu just asked me this question. I replied that several Grihastha devotees are doing this, that when their children are settled, as they say in Indian English, means they're able to look after they've done their education, they have a job or they're married, do full-time service in a temple. Husband and wife. It's a good answer, isn't it? What do you think?
I think it's good, but what if the devotees get older and the temple and they can't do enough service, and then what will the temple do with them then? If they don't have money, if they don't have
money, yeah, it's such a horrible society that the old people are not looked after. I saw in LA in the airport this morning some advertisement, Prudential Insurance. Most people have 6,000 days of retirement. We'll ensure that you have enough money for every one of them. It's horrible. That means that it's expected that most people won't have enough to live properly in old age. So actually the children should look after their parents. That culture should be there. We find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his Raghunath Bhatta, he told him, Raghunath Bhatta came to visit him in Puri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you go home and serve your parents because they're Vaishnavas, and when they pass away then you come and join me. And this idea, you're on your own, this so-called freedom that you have in modern life means you're on your own. You live or die, you're on your own. You get sick, you don't have money, then who cares? You can die on they can have the medicine just there, they won't give it to you unless you pay for it. It's a nasty, very nasty society. So many of these questions like social welfare, this and that, many of I'm convinced of this, many of the problems we have in our movement, and all kinds of problems, are solvable, or they're there because we haven't taken up the extra 50%. The Varnashram farm communities. So all over the world, people never had any problem looking after old people. They're there, and they're looked after. It's not considered a burden. But because now we think money and my own life for my own pleasure, therefore we consider it a burden. They're taking, this old wreck is taking my money. And what do I get out of it? I just have to serve them. And I don't get it. And that impinges on my free time, which is meant for sense gratification, or working to make more money. The whole attitude is so horrible, so heartless. Just me. They don't want to look after their parents. Horrible attitude. Actually demoniac society. So what should we do? The temple can't look after you. Well, that culture should be there. The children look after the parents. That should be instilled. And if not, then anyway you depend on Krishna. That you can do also. If you give your time to Krishna, then even if the last days you pass in some difficulty, you'll go to Krishna. But if we spend all our life thinking first of all I have to arrange everything for my physical welfare. It's like it's the story of the reading the Bhagavad Gita. That story is there. The Guru told his disciple to study Bhagavad Gita, so he went to a cave. You know the story. He went to a cave to just concentrate. But then when he would go out for the call of nature or some such thing, the mouse would come and eat his Bhagavad Gita. So then he went to the nearby village and got a cat. So then the mouse didn't come, and then the cat wanted milk. So he went to the village and begged a cow. Nowadays you couldn't beg a cow for a big cow. And so he gave the cow, got the milk from the cow to feed the cat. But then that also took time from his reading Bhagavad Gita, because to look after a cow takes quite some time. So then he went to the village and begged a kanya, a young girl, and married her so she could look after the cow. Then she said, "Hey, I'm not going to live in a cave the rest of my life. I need a house." So then he went to the village and got a job in the Prudential Insurance Company and got a big house. And eventually his guru came to visit him and said, "What happened? You got a big house and 7 kids and 3 cows and 2 dogs." And, "Well, because you told me to read Bhagavad Gita, and this is what happened." So the intention was good, but he lost the original idea. If he'd have remained in the cave and made some other arrangement to protect his Bhagavad Gita, it would have been a more difficult life in some ways, but he would have studied Bhagavad Gita. So, of course, it's easy for me to say this because I didn't marry in this lifetime, but I never thought what will happen in future. Now, I'm a sannyasi, and as this body ages, hopefully or unhopefully, when you have disciples, they may look after you. Generally, they do. But I never, when devotees used to ask me when I was a brahmachari, "What will you do when you get old?" I say, "Well, see them. If nothing else, go and live in Vrindavan and starve in the dust of Vrindavan, whatever." Maybe disciples will look after. I saw one of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, who was actually he had hundreds of disciples. He was senile in his old age, and devotees were looking after him. They were actually, I was horrified at how he was drooling, and this young boy disciple was supposed to be serving, he was shouting at him, "Why are you making such a mess?" A horrible thing. Somewhere else in another Gauriya Math, I saw another senile man. It was in a village, near to Remuna. He was senile. And he was just there. Devotees were, they just took it in their stride. Okay, they're looking after him. Didn't bother him, didn't bother them. So, what will happen to me in future? Really, we have to put our life in Krishna's hands. If we don't do it then when? Then we have to go for another lifetime. So that would actually be, in one sense, that would be great mercy if everyone rejects us and we have nothing to do, nowhere to go. Very difficult, but that we can take full shelter of Krishna. Maybe a very difficult situation. We see many old people in this country. Generally old people in the West, they're extremely miserable. They're just rejected, neglected, waiting to die. But if we have Krishna, then we can always be happy. We can know that we may have to suffer pain for years in old age. Pain, weakness, bedridden. But through all that, if we can remember Krishna, then that's all very good. So the people in materialistic consciousness, they can't accept this or understand this at all, because they don't have faith in Krishna. The atheists will say this is a what do they call that, a crutch. Let them say. We'll see. Yeah, their idea of sense gratification, it's a crutch, and it's not such a very good crutch, because they end up in an old age home. They just forget that, somehow or other, that they're going to end up in that situation. Many of them. Or if they have enough money, they can pay someone to look after them, someone who doesn't care for them, but some stranger. But what for? Just waiting to die. Empty life. As long as they can, they fill up their empty life with illusions of sports and movies and making money and social life and all this kind of thing. But at the end, Vriddha Kala Ailo Shab Shuk Bhagalo. In old age, all material happiness has just fled away. There's nothing there. You can't enjoy. So, you're going to say anything else, or we'll finish?
Even Vedic sacrifices performed, we see in the Bhagavatam also a person through Anjana being dragged to hell. All he did was perform these Vedic sacrifices. So is it correct to assume that Vaishnava should really strive for sattvic life?
Should a Vaishnava strive for sattvic life? Well, not if he's a Kshatriya. That was Arjuna's proposal. This fighting is not good. But for Arjuna to fight, Krishna said, Shrayan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmo Bhayavaha. For you need to do that. You have to. For a Kshatriya to become non-violent is sinful. He gets the same, by dying in battle, he gets the same result as or by killing and being victorious in battle, he gets the same result as the vanaprasthas in the jungle living a very sattvic life. So should a Kshatriya live a sattvic life? No, he should do his duty as a Kshatriya, but in Krishna consciousness. Mamanusmara yodhyacha. Think you're doing it for Krishna. If he doesn't do it for Krishna, then it becomes highly problematic. If you do it for Krishna, then it's most glorious. All over the world, the king was always considered the representative of God. In every culture. There's no idea nowadays of what it means to have a king. They have cartoons of the president in the newspaper, and he's cartoonable also. He's a clown. I'm not saying any particular one, they all are. The king is highly respected. Even in England now, they don't have cartoons of the Queen. In many ways, she acts as a respectable person. She's done her job quite well. Actually, also. She doesn't, it's not like the King of Denmark, you'll see him cycling around and wearing shorts, cycling in the street of Copenhagen. That's not a king. She keeps her dignity. So yeah, that's required. Kings have to be kings. It seems like a highly degrading, but they should hear. It can be unless they hear. Imang Raja Shayo Viduhu, the knowledge, they're supposed to understand what is Vedic knowledge by hearing in parampara. It should be Rajarshi. Srila Prabhupada, when he was in Amritsar with his disciples, he went to one man's house, and there was the bust of a, what do you call that? Of a tiger. They call it a bust, right? When just the head is there, stuffed. And Prabhupada, he said, "Oh, I shot this tiger myself." And Prabhupada said, "Oh, very nice, very good." That's required. Because it requires all things which are not considered very good, Kshatriya life. Therefore, if one does it in the spirit of service, even if one is not fully a Vaishnava, but the sense of dharma is there, then dharma rakshati rakshataha. Dharma is, one who protects dharma is protected by dharma. So that's some concession, you could say.
Both the life of the fifth canto, the king he took off for the mountains, then Lord Brahma had to pursue.
Oh, Priyavrata. Yeah, he wanted to be a rishi, but Brahma said, "No, be a Raja."
And it stated that he was actually fallen, doing his...
Yeah, but he was apparently fallen, but that was superficial, because Krishna protected him. So it may appear sometimes devotees are fallen, but they're not. Navai jano jatu katanchana vrajan mukunda sevanyavadanga sangsut. Those who are devotees of Krishna, they may appear to be fallen, but they're not. Even if superficially for some time it seems that they are, they're not.
As it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Ustakharais. What is that verse? Ustakharai Sangstuta Purusha Pasu. In this world, we see there are many great men, so-called great men, and they are very much praised by the general people. So, Bhagavad says that anyone who is not a devotee, who never chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he may be very great man in the estimation of rascals, but he is nothing but an animal. So, Sabir Baraha Ustro Kharoi. So how you can say such a great man, you are saying that animal? Our business is very thankless task. We say any man who is not a devotee, he is rascal. We say generally. It is very harsh word, but we have to use it. So these are all nonsense, simply nonsense, mura. Of course, we use this word, mura, and people become very angry. But what can you do? The muras must be explained as muras. And because the mulas are going as intelligent, therefore there is chaotic condition. So our Krishna consciousness movement is to become intelligent, not to remain mulas, and to expose these rascal mulas. That is our Krishna consciousness. See, you must be prepared while making propaganda. Expose these mulas. That is one of the service of Krishna. Don't remain foolish. Wherever there is required, fight with these mulas and tell them rightly, straightforward, that you are mulas.
Hare Krishna. On Speaking Strongly in Srila Prabhupada's Service is a book that I've put together to examine how Srila Prabhupada spoke strongly and how he wanted his disciples to do so also. Strongly means clearly presenting the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's instructions, to whomever he met, without going this way, that way, trying to be polite. Of course, it's not that Srila Prabhupada was impolite, but his whole point was to communicate to people the message of Bhagavad Gita, and often in such a direct manner that people might have got offended, and in some cases they did get offended.
Krishna is playing, Krishna is speaking, still these rascals will not understand Krishna. Just like the owl. Owl will never open the eyes to see that there is sunlight. You know this owl? However you may say, Mr. Owl, please open your eyes to see the sun. No, there is no sun, I don't see. This owl civilization. So you have to fight with these owls. It must be very strong, especially the sannyasis. You have to fight with the owls. You have to open their eyes by force, like this, with machine. So this is going on. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is a fight against all the owls. The rascal means the Mayavadi, Karmi, Jnani, Yogi, all they are rascals. It is our open declaration.
I made this book because nowadays in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, this kind of speaking is often considered improper, and there's preaching against strong and clear preaching, and much of what goes on in the name of preaching is actually avoiding the real message of Bhagavad Gita. So you may wonder, well, why is a whole book needed on that? Well, because there are various arguments that, probably, for instance, Prabhupada was pure, he could do so, we're not pure, we can't do so, that we have to do it gradually and all this kind of thing. So it's all examined in some detail. There are many quotes, more than 500 quotes total, including from Srila Prabhupada and from previous acharyas also. And examining all these points in some detail, that are we interested in public opinion? To what extent we should be interested in public opinion? To what extent we should take the risk and speak straightforwardly? It's not just one-sided, it examines also there are some instances where we should be particularly cautious. For instance, if we're in a country where the government is very much antagonistic toward devotees. So in this way the whole subject is dealt with in detail.
Satyam priyat priyam priyat ma priyat satyam apriyam. It is social convention that if you want to speak truth, you speak truth very palatable, flattering. don't speak unpalatable truth. But we are not meant for that purpose, social convention. We are preachers, we are servants of God, we must speak the real truth. You may like it or may not like it. You want to stop all this rascaldom. That is our challenge. We may not have many followers. We don't care for that. We don't want these nonsense followers, many thousands. What they'll do. But if we can turn one man into Krishna consciousness perfectly, he can do tremendous work in the world. That is our principle. We don't want nonsense. If you become Krishna conscious, the whole world will be your enemy. You must be prepared for that. Especially addressing chastiser of the enemy. There is no excuse. You must be chastiser. Not that because I become Krishna conscious, I will be very humble. You must be humble, but in need, if there is need, you shall be thunderbolt. That is Krishna instructing.
Especially for those devotees who do want to speak straightforwardly and clearly and present Krishna consciousness as it is, this book will be especially appreciated by them to offer evidence to those who will preach strongly against preaching strongly. And unfortunately that is going on, that some devotees in our movement, the only thing they preach strongly about is don't preach strongly. So Srila Prabhupada preached strongly and clearly, and he wanted his followers to do so. That is the theme of this book. Please have a look at it and try to understand what is Srila Prabhupada's actual mission, his mood, how he presented Krishna consciousness. This book gives some light on that, light on a major aspect of Srila Prabhupada's preaching which we don't hear much about nowadays. Hare Krishna.
So, the people, a man who is worshipped by so many people, we call rascal. And what strength? The strength is this Krishna consciousness. He can prove that he is rascal. I am not speaking. Krishna is speaking. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Namang duskitanam mura. Mura means rascal. So I am repeating Krishna's word. Anyone who does not surrender unto Krishna, he is rascal. So we can quote from Bhagavad Gita. Somebody brings case against that. So we can clearly say that I am not speaking. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, you just bring libel case against Bhagavad Gita. Why you are troubling? If you are really Krishna conscious, then our business is to repeat the words of Krishna. That's all. What is the difference between a Krishna's representative and non-representative? The representative of Krishna will simply repeat what Krishna says, that's all. He becomes representative. It doesn't require much qualification. You simply repeat with firm conviction